Sometimes when you're bidding in online auctions, it can feel like you're just throwing your money away as you try to figure out how it all works. Hi, I'm Rachel, and a year ago, I was brand new to online auctions. After some trial and some error and some auction losses, I make myself a Reseller Estimated Fee Calculator. It helps me figure out all of the fees involved with both buying and selling vintage jewelry online. Let's start with this first one that I'm calling the Tricky Bixby. Now, Barbara Bixby has some really nice rings, and some of them sell for over $500. When I saw this one come up on Shop Goodwill, I knew I wanted to check it out. Now, Barbara Bixby has a yellow citrine ring that sells for $500. Unfortunately, this lemon quartz ring only comps for $125. Now, $125 is still a really good comp. Now, you know from my sweet spot bids that I would want to pick this up for around $35 to $40. I took a look at the shipping and handling of $11 and decided not to bid on this one. This one did close at $46, and with a shipping and handling cost of $11, I estimate that someone picked this up for a nice predicted profit of $37. Next up, we have your frenemy. As you know, I'm on a bit of a campaign to stop people from getting tricked by misleading ads written by AI. This is a good example. I saw this John Avery sterling silver piece listed, and I went to go check the photos. I immediately noticed that this does not have the official John Avery hallmark. I put the official hallmark on the side so you can see it. The hallmark that says C, circle, and then the word Avery, that's the fake one. The one that has the candelabra, that's the real one. Unfortunately, I can't really give a profit or loss on this one. To me, the loss on this one, it just can't be measured. Of course, there's the loss of the money. You know, there's the $15 ending price. There's the $3 shipping price. But there's also the potential loss of your reputation. When you buy this as a well-meaning buyer, and then if you list it as James Avery and someone buys it from you, and then they complain because they find out it's not James Avery, well, that hurts your reputation in ways that are hard to quantify. Item number 3 is we have a very charming charm bracelet from Brighton. Now, Brighton is one of those companies that has some jewelry that go for low amounts and some jewelry that go for higher amounts. So it's one of those that you always need to check. I took a look at the photos. It looked to be authentic Brighton. So I jumped over to eBay to look at the comps. Now I found a necklace that was exactly like this one. The necklace comped at 72. I couldn't find an exact bracelet, so I extrapolated and made a guess that the bracelet might sell for 52. With 52 comp and shipping and handling at 6, a final end price of 22. My predicted profit on this one is $18.50. A key lesson on this one is Brighton charm bracelets, always worth a look. And something I've noticed is with Brighton, the more charms, the more value. So there's a good tip for you. The next one is a very important lesson. Now, I saw this gorgeous Lily of the Valley brooch and earring set, and I was very excited. It opened at $50 and I immediately went in and placed my bid at $50. Of course, after I checked the photos and the comp. You can see my little note here where I say the sold comp is at least $325. When I put my numbers in, I saw even if I went to a max bid of $100, I could still make a profit of about $150. However, dun dun dun, when I went back and checked the bids a couple hours later, I saw that the bids before the auction had even ended were all the way up to $285, which tells me that this is not a reseller who's looking for this. If a reseller was buying this, they're probably going to lose money unless they're specifically buying it for a collector who has told them, bring me this brooch and I'll give you $1,000 or something like that. Just be aware also, when you're bidding in an online auction, it's different when you're bidding versus a collector versus a reseller. Resellers want to make money. Collectors want to enhance their collection. Resellers want to be buying at low prices. Collectors sometimes don't care. So don't get involved in a dopamine fuel fight to the end with a collector, because you're never going to win. And here's a good one that we'll talk about next. You've heard me say over and over again, be careful about bidding in online auctions. And maybe at this point you're wondering, well, why do you even do it? And this is the why. When you find an auction lot like this is the reason why. So I spotted this auction lot and I saw that there were 15 total brooches, but not just any brooch, 15 designer brooches by a designer that I like and a designer that I'm familiar with. Weiss brooches, I know some are going to be low and some are going to be high. So I specifically went in and I decided to pick a section of the photo to go and do some detective work on. And I started with the Christmas trees over in the corner. Now the 3 Christmas trees in the corner, there's a brooch, and 2 earrings. So I went and comped over in eBay Christmas tree and earring set. And that set comped at $320. Then the single Christmas tree comped at $80. Well, there you already have $400 in comps on this set. That was enough to encourage me to go ahead and comp out the rest of the set. By the time I was done, I was at a good $1,000 in comps, true comps, not Rachel wants the math to work out comps. And that set my maximum bid at $210. I won this lot with shipping at $35. I'm looking at a predicted profit of over $500. And that's why it's good to go to auctions. Now, I have a friend and she says, Rachel, I don't have time to go down the rabbit hole. So why does she say that? She says that because she is a volume seller. She makes her money selling lots and lots and lots of items every week. I make my item selling a few items every week. I would rather sell several net $50 profit items a week, or more. And so we just play the game differently. So my thought on this lot, if there's a $50 net profit, put in $50 worth of time. If there's a $500 possible net profit, well, scale that up accordingly. Whenever you see a listing that has gold filled and a locket, it's a good time to stop and evaluate. I went and looked at the pictures on this. They did a great job. There were a lot of pictures. All of them said gold filled. They all had the markings that were shown. Great. This means I can go and I can do my detective work. I can go and I can figure out what is the comp on this lot. This is a good one to show you because basically there's only 3 items. There is the money clip, the locket, and then the necklace and earring set. As you can see here, basically 3 items. So we're going to jump in and we're going to do our detective work. So on the locket, first I went in and I took a really close look at the hallmark. I was able to figure out that the CA on the bottom stood for Carl Art. Having that information, I could hone in a little bit more on the locket and find out that the comp on that would be $65. The money clip had a very specific look about it. When I looked at it, I could see that it had that tri-colored gold that I know is a hallmark for Black Hills Gold. I put that comp or that photo into eBay and the exact piece came up. I double checked it with the markings in the photos. This one exactly came up at $80. And then I took a look at the opal and rhinestone necklace set. Our piece does not have the bracelet. So I comped this at $35. This gives us a comp on the lot of $190. So now we have our comp at $190. So next we're going to go through and we're going to put this into the Reseller Estimated Fee Calculator. We have a comp of $190. We're going to estimate $20 shipping for the auction. We're going to put in 10% promotion fee, 15% final value fee, 20% buyer's premium fee, and the bid was currently at $55. The bid actually closed at $57.50, which means that this bidder actually won this for a very nice $75 estimated profit. Come back next Thursday to see what else I found. There's one that you don't want to miss.